Hello and welcome back to Webrazzi Summit. We are with Jason Kincaid. He is formerly part of TechCrunch, and he is with us today. He was on stage. First of all, what do you think about the event?
It's great. This is my first time in Turkey, in Istanbul, and the city's beautiful in the event. Just a great turnout. I liked how it seems to be multiple things going on at once. The speakers were engaging, so I think it's really good.
Okay. You were on the stage and you talked about the startup ecosystem in New York and San Francisco. So can you summarize what you were talking about?
I can try. Basically, I mean, this is an issue that a lot of people talk about. Is it possible to reproduce what's made Silicon Valley so successful? I don't think anyone's going to come along and beat Silicon Valley as far as being the tech hub of the world. But I think New York has matured a lot over the last few years. They're having more large companies are setting up shop there and acquiring small companies, which is important because it helps kind of foster a community of, well, first it leads engineers to start companies there because it makes it more of a desirable place to be. And then over time, some of these acquired companies, some of those founders will probably become angel investors, and it'll be sort of like a cycle that's a virtuous cycle, I guess. Silicon Valley obviously has everything going for it. You've got the investors, you've got a huge number of entrepreneurs, startups there, and the whole culture really, I wouldn't say it's focused on startups, but it's certainly something that seems to permeate the community. So again, I don't think anywhere is really going to be able to reproduce that. I don't think you necessarily have to, though, to have successful companies. It's always nice to kind of look at what Silicon Valley is doing, and then there are certain things you can try to mirror and maybe even improve on. So,
but in Europe, London and Berlin seems to be a hub for entrepreneurs, right? Startups. So, what do you think about when you compare to US and Europe?
So this is, I don't want to make Europeans too angry with me. I mean, so I was at TechCrunch for a long time, and to be fair, I was never the person who was focused on covering European startups. I did sometimes, but TechCrunch has Mike Butcher is a TechCrunch UK/Europe guy, so he's much more familiar with them. But I think generally they're obviously a lot more large startups that are getting sold for vast sums in the United States. I can't really speak as to why that is. I think it has a lot to do with just the fact that particularly in Silicon Valley, it's a more mature ecosystem, and it takes time for you see these sort of like the PayPal mafia, where you have these early employees and executives who, after that company was acquired, they've now gone on to launch several different startups, which again, you're going to see the cycle happen again with likely Facebook. It's happened with Google. And so I think as Europe has some successes, over time we'll see this kind of cycle repeat elsewhere. I
see. By the way, you probably all know that Jason was doing the TC Crips shows at TechCrunch. It's something like our girişim offices, startup offices. Have you able to see a few?
I saw a quick clip of it. To be honest, I haven't seen full episodes, but I think anytime you can get a closer look at what's going on in a startup, I think that's a good thing. I think one of the reason why we launched Cribs was that I always felt there's this sort of, when you heard about startups, it was sort of this nebulous thing, right? You don't hear the name YouTube and think of a big office in San Bruno where there are hundreds of people working there. It's just this website, right? And so I thought it would be interesting to kind of look at what's life like there, to try to make it a little more interesting than maybe it is sitting at a computer. But you know, as you said, you're trying to do some similar things with your show, and I think anytime you can give a behind-the-scenes look at a company, it's probably good. So,
thank you for being here and for this interview. Hope to see you around again.
Cool.
Come back.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.